Hey everybody, the Spiel des Jahres awards are coming in fast, and this is the most prestigious game award of the year for the gaming hobby. So what I want to do today is talk about the 3 nominees for the game of the year. This is the Spiel des Jahres, not the Kenner for the more advanced game, or the Kinderspiel for children. The Spiel is that game that is a light strategy game taking between 20 and 30 minutes to play, is a family game for people who are familiar with games, but they're not heavy in the gaming scene. So here are some of the previous winners so that you can kind of get a feel for the theme and the level of complexity or heaviness of the game. So last year's winner, Dwarf Romantic, the board game. Previous winner, Cascadia. 2021 was Micro Macro Crime City. Pictures, just one for 2019, and then for 2018, Azul. Those hopefully are going to give you a nice picture of the kinds of games that win this game of the year. So what I want to do now is talk about the 3 nominees and then tell you what I think is going to win this year's game of the year. The first nominee is Captain Flip. The second is In the Footsteps of Darwin, and the third is Sky Team. So let's talk about the first one, Captain Flip. This is, of the 3, the lightest. It has a really nice kind of nautical theme, and what you're doing in this is you are drawing from a bag of tiles that are 2-sided, and you are building up your crew. Players will reach in the bag one at a time, pull out a tile, but you have to keep it face up because you can keep the tile on the side you like, or if you say, I want to flip it over, you can flip it over, but then you have to take that side of the tile, and then you place it into your player board into these columns and rows, and it's just building your crew. And these tiles will score a variety of points based on what that tile says. So it might just give you straight up points. It might give you adjacency points. It might say if this, then this. And so you've got to take a look at if it's an immediate scoring or an endgame scoring. And then the first player who essentially gets 4 columns filled up triggers the end of the game. 20 to 30 minutes, light game, really, really fast turns. Lots of fun. You have 4 different boards that you can play on while the bag of the crew stay the same. So this game is replayable, it's fun, it's light, it has a cute theme to it, designed or co-designed by Paolo Mori, who designed several of my favorite games, and so I think that the game design is just so clean and easy. The strategy of just pulling a tile and saying, do I want to keep this or do I want to kind of gamble to press your luck of flipping it over, has just a lovely appeal to it. So I think it's exciting, I think it's fun, I think it's replayable, and I think it fits squarely into the family game and the Game of the Year nominees. So I think this is a nice selection. I want to move on to the second one, which is In the Footsteps of Darwin. So in this game, you have essentially a tableau in front of all players in the center, and it's kind of like a rondelle, it's a grid. But you're going to be moving around this 3x3 grid, but it's based on which tile you take in the column that you're looking at, or the row that you're looking at, depending on your point of view. So this marker is going to be on the outside edge of the board. When it's your turn, you just look at the 3 available options, the 3 that are underneath it or to the side of it. And if you pick the first one, you take it, put it into your personal tableau and player area, which is just a grid of different kinds of combinations and set collection. And then you're going to move the marker the amount of spaces that you went away from the marker. And then the next player is going to be taking from that particular column or row. So it's a really simple rondelle system of the movement and how you move, but it's also about what you collect. And it has a nice feature. It's really lovely, very, very popular theme. I think the kind of like nature and the animals and critters and all kinds of lovely, kind of outdoorsy things, really, really popular right now. And the system is, again, straightforward enough. It's clean. You have a choice. You're like, oh, this one, or this one. Which one do I want? Which one helps me get more points in my player area? And then you just simply move the marker. Very easy, very straightforward. And then you just kind of like look at the board and you just wait for your turn to come back around. Turns are fast. The game is light. Definitely heavier than the previous Captain Flip. The last nominee is for strictly 2 players. And the previous 2 games were for 2 to 5 players. 2 players are going to not communicate with each other, which is really the heart of the game. They're going to roll their own personal dice behind their screen, and then one at a time, alternating, they will be placing out dice into the field where there are a variety of places to place dice, and you are captaining or co-captaining this aircraft in its approach to land at an airport. And there are a variety of things that you have to keep in mind. The tilt of the wings, how fast you're coming in, clearing out the obstacles that are on the tarmac as you fly into this airport. And it's not just one scenario. So if you finish this scenario, which takes you about 20 to 30 minutes to play, you will then move on to other scenarios, more and more challenging situations for you and your fellow player. So while you don't communicate, you don't talk to each other while you play, there are opportunities for you to take a coffee break and essentially re-roll dice that you think are not going to be really great for that particular round. And so that's an opportunity to communicate to your fellow player, hey, I don't think that I have the dice here that are going to actually help me help you and to help us succeed together. But again, you're not verbally communicating with each other. So now let's talk about how they compare to each other and which one I think is the best fit for the game of the year. Now, thinking about theme, In the Footsteps of Darwin really fits the theme. I think that theme is a knockout. So while I think that that might win with theme, I think the best fit game-wise, like mechanics and weight and fun, is going to push me over the edge to pick Captain Flip for the game of the year. Now, why am I not even considering Sky Team? Well, I think Sky Team of the 3 is definitely the most complex. While the first game is kind of an entry level, understanding the game and learning the rhythm and the kind of like way you have to communicate in the game, I think that it gets more and more complex. I also think that because it's strictly limited to 2 players, it doesn't necessarily invite families to play. It invites 2 people in a family to play. So the 2 to 5 player count for the other 2 games brings it just a little bit up for the family game of the year for just kind of like those casual gamers. And the accessibility of getting into those 2 games I think is a lot higher than Sky Captain, even though that first game is pretty easy. So I put it between the other 2, and I think that theme is really high with In the Footsteps of Darwin, but again, mechanics and fun, I tip it over the edge to Captain Flip. I think Captain Flip is going to win, and I have to say that of all the games, of those 3, I'm going to pull out Captain Flip more often. I'm going to share that more often. I'm going to play it more often. I'm just going to play it. It's fun. It's really fun. I have a fantastic time doing it. It's the kind of game where you get to talk to each other while you're playing because the strategy isn't so much that it overwhelms you, that while other players are taking their turn, you're thinking about what should I do? No, really, you're not thinking at all when it's not your turn. You're just having a good time because when it comes to you, you pull a tile out and that's when your choice happens, is on your turn. So the turns are fast, they're fun, it's a very replayable game, and with 4 different maps to pick from, or 4 different boards to pick from, where maybe the next time you're fighting the Kraken or you're at a sunken treasure ship or whatever, it's fun, and it has slightly different rules on the completion of particular rows and columns. I think it also has like expansion possibilities, which, they might already be thinking about. In the Footsteps of Darwin actually has another game coming out in 2025, In the Footsteps of Marie Curie. So I think they're already thinking about keeping that same clean system and then just changing the theme and the ideas behind it. So I think it's probably a really solid pick. And if the jury did pick In the Footsteps of Darwin, I would say nice selection, but I do think it's going to go to Captain Flip. All right, everybody, what do you think? Have you played these 3 games? What's your opinion? Who do you think is going to win and why? Put it in the comments below. I cannot wait to see those, and I can't wait to see how well I predicted the jury's selection for Spiel des Jahres 2024.